Government proposals to end the sale of all new cars with engines by 2035 at the latest, and extend the ban to include all hybrids, are steps in the right direction. But without meaningful regulations, the goal is another worthy but meaningless climate aspiration. Just providing carrots for consumers to buy ZEVs will be astronomically expensive and unsuccessful, as demand won't be matched by an increase in supply, leading to shortages and inflated prices. Just regulating the car industry without providing an attractive package of support for charging and buying vehicles is a recipe for failure and fines. The increased choice, availability and marketing of EVs is being driven by effective EU car CO2 regulations. But the UK leaves the EU system in 2021, and supply of ZEVs will dry up unless there are similar rules here. But matching the EU system won't be sufficient to achieve the phase-out. Instead, the UK must go further and implement a ZEV target requiring car and van manufacturers to sell an increasing share of ZEVs every year. To phase out by 2035, automakers need to be selling around a quarter ZEVs by 2025 and 2/3 by 2030. Even more for earlier phase-out years. The regulations must include tough penalties to ensure car makers meet their targets, but flexibility to allow trading between companies and a delayed introduction for companies with low UK sales. Tax incentives, investment in charging and a ZEV target on auto companies will collectively deliver the ICE phase-out by the early 2030s. But it also requires regulation, not just words.
I would like to focus on the important role of taxation for the uptake of electric vehicles. In the aftermath of the first COVID-19 wave, governments throughout Europe are deciding on purchase incentives to support the struggling automotive industry. If these purchase incentives were to support all new car sales, including combustion engine vehicles, they would go against our climate protection efforts and would contribute to the next, likely much bigger crisis than what we are facing with COVID-19. This is why the governments of Germany, France and Spain already decided to set a strong signal by only, or at least mostly only, incentivizing electric vehicles as part of their COVID-19 economic recovery packages. If you now purchase a new battery electric vehicle, let's say a Volkswagen e-Golf, in Germany you receive 6,000 euros from the government plus another 3,000 euros from the manufacturer, making the electric version much cheaper than the comparable petrol version. Buying an electric car has never been more attractive in Germany, and the situation looks similar in France and Spain. In comparison, the current £3,000 UK purchase premium for electric cars is not that high anymore. And for the UK to keep attracting electric vehicles to its own market, I think the government will need to increase the incentive for purchasing electric cars. By raising the first-year vehicle excise duty paid by cars with combustion engines, the UK Treasury can fund such an increase of the incentive to buy electric cars. The current registration taxes on new cars in the UK are amongst the lowest in Europe and are too little differentiated in order to have a significant steering effect. Especially the tax rates for the first year of ownership of a vehicle need to be adapted towards a bonus-malus-like system that influences consumers to opt for low and zero-emission vehicles at the point of purchase. Such a comprehensive reform of the UK vehicle tax rates would ensure that the country stays a leading electric vehicles market in Europe and worldwide.
Horiba Mira is an engineering and testing consultancy based in the heart of the UK's automotive industry, and we've been involved in developing electric powertrains for commercial vehicles and buses for more than a decade. The UK government has set out ambitious targets to put 4,000 new zero-emission buses on the road by 2025. Now, the policies tend to be around new buses, And obviously this is extremely challenging, both from a supply chain perspective and a cost perspective. Moreover, the vast majority of buses on the road today are diesel buses. And an alternative solution, which we put forward, is to retrofit those buses with an electric powertrain. Simply replacing the existing buses with electric ones either means you have to scrap off buses that potentially have a lot of remaining life, or alternatively, you're going to take those buses from one city to the next, where they'll still produce CO2. So what we propose is a much more sustainable solution, which would be to retrofit those buses, existing diesel buses, with electric powertrains and allow them to continue their life, but producing no emissions. We really hope for your support in proposing this policy, which we believe is critical to the future uptake of electric buses in the UK. By following this proposition, we can actually put more buses on the road more quickly and at a lower cost. Thank you for your support.
The BVRLA is the trade body for the vehicle rental and leasing sector. Our members own and operate over 5 million cars, vans and trucks, including over 90,000 electric vehicles. They're responsible for around 50% of all new vehicles sold in the UK each year. The decisions they make are rational and cost-based. That's why we think tax incentives and the tax regime is so vital to driving the right behaviours in terms of road transport. Our policy pitch is based around the very simple concept of 0%. We think adopting a 0% rate in two key areas could really drive the transition to zero emission road transport. The first of these is company car tax. If the government extends the 0% rate we've currently got for company car tax into the 2021-2022 year, we think they'll make up for a lot of the lost momentum that was lost out due to the coronavirus epidemic and really embed that surge in EV registrations in the company car sector. The second thing we'd like them to do is to adopt a 0% rate of VAT for car rental and car club. This will bring these operators into line with other forms of shared transport and also enable them to offer electric vehicle rental and car clubs at a similar price to that seen for petrol and diesel vehicles. So that's our idea, 0%.